Yep, still doing the Disney thing, because still not at Disney. They're gonna open up again, right? How's it going, Sudsers? Welcome back to Soap and Clay. Today you're here for another round of 365 days of soap. Now today we are going to be making another wine soap. And I know we made a wine soap like, 2 weeks ago, but I really am bummed that I'm not at Disney right now. And so I decided that I wanted to, drink and make soap. I never do that. The truth is, wine soaps actually sell out pretty quickly, so I needed to up my inventory both online and in the shop for when we open again, which, maybe never. Yeah. We're gonna open again, right? At any rate, this wine soap is great, and I can't wait to tell you all about it, but first, I'm Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. Now, today's wine soap is called Grapes of Bath, and it is made with a wine from a local winery here in Washington State. Not just Washington State, but on 6th Ave, which is, where the Soap and Clay shop is when we're not shut down because, COVID. And the winery is called Vino Aquino, and the wine that we use for this particular soap is called the Monkey's Uncle, I believe. It's a blackberry wine, and it's amazing. Now, the real reason I'm doing a wine soap today, outside of the fact that I need to, replenish my stock, is that normally during this time of the year, I am coordinating the wine walk for 6th Ave, and it's a great time. For the Sudsers that have been out there before, you can attest, it's so much fun. And this year, we canceled it, or hopefully postponed it. We're not sure yet. But it would normally be going on in a few weeks, and I'd be really busy, promoting the wine walk, and we're not doing that right now. So I'm making wine soaps instead. And this particular wine soap is done in a slab pour. The last wine soap that we did, the rosé, that's done in a log mold, and that's great. And you have the rose going on inside, and that's super cool. But we do this one in a slab mold, so it's a little bit different of a pour. Same sort of concept though. You're gonna have the wine instead of the distilled water, and it can accelerate trace. It can be kind of crazy. So let's see how this wine soap goes and see if I, did a better job than I did with the rosé. It'll be good. I'm great at slab pours. So the Grapes of Bath is another wine soap, and I just realized that I have not shown you how to incorporate wine into a soap again. I'll do that soon. We have 2 more wine soaps that need to be made, as well as 4 beer soaps. So there's definitely the opportunity to show you how to actually incorporate beer or wine into a soap recipe. But it's currently, the wine is doing its thing in the lye right now, and I'm mixing up all the other things. So the Grapes of Bath is a wine soap that I've been doing for quite a while. It is one of 4 in my wine soaps series, and this particular wine soap is made from a wine that I get from Vino Aquino, and they are a winery that is on 6th Ave, and they're great. They have really, really good wines, and yeah, they're super cheap. They're local. It's amazing, and they're always a big hit at the wine walks that I put on, and that we're not doing this year, which is very sad. But it's fine. We will do another wine walk soon. Maybe we'll just reschedule this one, and we'll have it in like August or something, and that would be great. Anyway, this is a 5-color swirl in a slab mold.
So with the grapes of Bath, it smells a lot like, you know, Smucker's jam, which is delicious and amazing. But, you know, don't eat the soap. That's a terrible idea. And with this pour, it's a little bit different every time I do it, which, I mean, you might be noticing sort of a trend really within my soap line, because I like to make things a little bit different every time. It really does add some uniqueness and individuality to what it is that I'm doing, because it's handmade soap, right? If it was completely uniform every single time, it wouldn't be very fun. And obviously the actual recipe stays exactly the same, and the colors stay, you know, basically the same, and, you know, the wine that we use stays exactly the same. But I mix it up a little bit every time I do the pour, just to play with different ways of, you know, making. Now, the lye has gone into the oils here, and this particular oil blend, this is actually, it's a 50-50 split between the liquid oils and the solid oils. So for the solid oils, for this one, we have babasu and cocoa butter, which leads to a really creamy lather, which is great. And then the liquid oils, we have avocado and argan and olive oil. And as a result, it lends to a really, again, it's a very creamy lather, very moisture rich, with a very gentle cleansing, which is, you know, good. And you're going to get that a lot with olive oil, with any soap that has, you know, a high amount of olive oil in it. It's definitely a very gentle cleansing bar. The soaps that I make for the Soap and Play Kids line, for example, all Bastille soaps, so at least 70% olive oil in each of those soaps. Now, this guy, again, we have a 5-color swirl here, which I am currently mixing up the 4 colors here, and then the rest of the soap will be white. And for the pour itself, I'm going to do a sort of variation on the thin lines pour. It's not a proper thin lines pour, but it is, you know, kind of similar in how you set up the actual colors themselves in the pot and then pour it into the mold. And then I'm going to do a spin technique with the slab mold. And it can get kind of, you know, dangerous. Like, what if everything falls out of the mold and it's a terrible disaster and it all looks like a big gray lump of nothing? So I like the excitement. It's fun. Now, these 4 colors that I'm using, these are micas. There's, you know, nothing special about the micas that I am using. It is a lighter green, a darker green, a lighter, you know, pinkish red, and a darker, you know, sort of more low color. And then again, the rest of the color is going to be white. The kaolin clay has been put into all, or will be put into all 4 containers, and that does sort of lighten it up into a more pastel color, which I really like. I'm really into the pastels right now. You know, we all go through, I think, stages as soap makers, and sometimes we want to go really big, bright, bold, beautiful colors, and other times we want to sort of dial it back to the pastels. And right now I'm in a pastel mood. So normally this bar is brighter in color with these four colors that we use, and that's just not the case for this particular batch, because I don't want to. I want to make a more pastel bar, so that's what I'm going to do. There is no exfoliant in the Grapes of Bath, and for the wine soaps we have 2 exfoliating bars, 2 non-exfoliating bars, and the Grapes of Bath is one of the non-exfoliating. So I guess we've done Rosé and Grapes of Bath so far. Neither one of those have exfoliants. And the 2 that do have exfoliants are the Muscafome and the Sauvignon Blanc. And I didn't mean to say that, Sauvignon Blanc. I know, it's fun. So once we mix the colors in the kaolin clay, it really mutes the colors really well and adds toward a more pastel, you know, look, which is awesome. And everything is ready to go. It's super fluid. It's ready for the pour. So now it is pour time, and we're doing a slab pour, and I sort of feel like, I'm pretty sure I talked about this earlier. I don't do a whole lot of slab pours, but I also feel like I've been showing you kind of a lot of slab pours, which is weird. That's not usually how that all works out, but you know, right now I need to replenish my stock, and it just so happens that the stock I need to replenish is, you know, slab pour. Anyway, so the way I am laying the color into the pot at this point, again, it's sort of an in-the-pot swirl. It's a modification of an in-the-pot swirl and, you know, a thin lines pour, which is also a modification of an in-the-pot swirl. Anyway, you're laying them down in lines. Whereas normally with an in the pot swirl, you would kind of put them in, you know, big circles around the diameter of the circle itself, of the, you know, pot itself, and then give it a swirl, pour it into the mold in different ways, create different techniques and designs. But with this, you're gonna lay down the lines as they would pour out. And what you end up getting with this is the colors are sort of released different, right? So right now we just have like the light pink and the light green going on, but as I continue to pour, the green comes through and then the maroon starts coming through, that Merlot color, and it makes a really cool pour that is, you know, super interesting and kind of different on every, you know, single bar. Now this is best done in a log mold, a proper, you know, thin lines pour. But for this, I really did just want the sort of interest and all of the difference with the different colors there within the slab itself, because I knew that I was going to swirl it. I was going to take the slab and sort of like, you know, move it around and shake it and, you know, spin it around and everything afterwards. So I wanted just a good mix of all of the colors, and this is one way to achieve that. You could achieve that also with just using a proper in the pot swirl and doing your circles in different places within the mold or within the pot and then, you know, pouring in. You could also achieve this by just doing like sort of an S pattern within the slab itself. I mean, whatever. But I want to do it this way. That's what I was in the mood for today, so that's what I did. Now, you see how it is getting thick. There is, you know, a reason for that. The reason is it's a wine soap and it can thicken up. So as you know, work with it, or as it, you know, continues to sit, it's going to get thicker and thicker, and that's, you know, that's great as long as you're good at pouring quickly. There are a lot of soap recipes that you can actually walk away from. Soaps that are really high in, you know, liquid oils, you can walk away from and take a phone call and, you know, come back to it and finish your pour. But that's not really the case with a wine soap, because the alcohol, the sugars that are, you know, in the alcohol, they definitely, oh yeah, see that? See? Now I'm just doing a quick spin and, you know, just kind of shaking the mold around a little bit just to give the soap itself some interesting, you know, just curves and allow the soap to the colors to sort of swirl into each other a little bit more. Now keep in mind this little shimmy that I'm doing right here with the mold, the more you do that, if you look at the top of the mold there, the more you do that, the muddier the colors become. So you really want to take care to not swirl them too much. Otherwise, you have bars that are going to be fully just like this kind of gray mass. Now, this itself, if you know, remember with the slab molds, this is getting cut into 12 bars, so down the middle and then, you know, across 6 times. And so each bar is going to be, you know, very interesting, and it's going to have these really cool kind of colors throughout. Again, this is a really good pour for a wood grain soap. So if you had different colors here, it would be, you know, the browns and the whites and the blacks and everything like wood. This would be perfect. This would be an amazing wood grain soap. But, you know, we're doing it for wine because I want to. So it is day 2 and it is on to the cut. Now, again, we are, you know, going with the tape measure because that's what I do. It's what I do best. And this is another hand cut. Again, I feel like I'm giving you guys way too many hand cut videos. Whatever. But you can see how this particular slab, right, there's not a lot of difference between the colors that you saw in the wet soap versus the cured soap. Now, that's because we did C-pop this, and we did force it through gel phase because, you know, C-pop is all about that gel. And also because I was working with micas that do not do weird things. Now, there are some suppliers out there. You always pay attention to the mica notes. Always pay attention to, you know, what it's supposed to look like in, you know, cold processed soap, because there are a lot of micas out there, a lot of suppliers that you get a mica and it looks really beautiful and awesome in the actual dry, you know, powder form, but then you put it into your soap and it gets very muted, and it's sad, and it makes you sad. And then you look at the mica notes and realize that, well, they told you that. They told you that this beautiful, bright, racing stripe orange turns into a very muted, light orange. Like, what even is the point of that? I don't understand. But yeah, pay attention to your soaping notes because they're definitely important. Now, these particular bars, again, they didn't change much with the colors and everything, and they're lovely pastel, and they're super beautiful. I really love this. I love how each of these bars is going to be a little bit different, a little bit unique in the actual swirl design throughout them. And as far as, you know, setup and everything goes, it's a lovely batch of soap, and everything, you know, went, you know, perfectly, absolutely according to plan, which is, yeah, you never can tell with me whether it's going to go, you know, really great or be terrible, because that's kind of just how I roll. So yeah, these particular bars, because they have the sugar alcohols in them, because they have the wine in them, and because they have a decent percentage of liquid oils, you are going to want to cure something like this for, you know, the proper 4 weeks before you sell. I actually cure everything for 4 proper weeks for everything, regardless of whether or not I C-pop it or anything. But with this specifically, it will stay softer a little bit longer than some of my other bars, just because it has a lot more liquid oils than what I usually use. But yeah, isn't that, it's just so pretty. That's such a nice bar of soap. And again, that they are all, oh god, that would have been a stunning, like, wood grain soap. Can you imagine like a purple heart? Have you guys ever seen those purple heart woods? I think that purple heart, it's a thing. And this would be just stunning with that particular, you know, design. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm really distracted. I just realized that I super sped this up to keep it under 20 minutes at this point, and things are rendering really weird, and I don't know if I'm going to fix it. But, you know, anyway, that is it. That is, you know, day 14 of 365 days of soap, the Grapes of Bath.
And there you have it. There's the Grapes of Bath. Now, this particular wine soap, the batter stayed really fluid for a long time, which I love. And it really allowed me to do the awesome spin with the slab. Did you love the spin? It's one of my favorite things to do ever. This particular spin technique would be really good if you wanted to do, say, a wood grain soap, which I make for a couple wholesale accounts, and they're just beautiful. Hopefully you'll be able to do one of those on the channel soon. But yeah, everything went beautifully. It went exactly according to plan. And the soap itself, it smells amazing. It smells like Smuckers grape jelly, which is pretty epic. The lather on this bar is super great, as you would expect with a wine soap. But yeah, that's the pour, and I had a good time, and I'm glad that you came along for the ride. And we're at like day 14, right? Like, we've done this for 2 whole weeks, and I'm shocked. So thanks for sticking around with me and, you know, keeping me motivated. I appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. I really do a legitimate happy dance when, you know, my numbers go up. Turns out it's a thing. And you can find me on all social media as handle Soap and Clay, except for Facebook, which is I don't even use soap. You can find the wine soaps at soapandclay.com. I'll put the link in the info card below. And yeah, thanks for coming out for another wine soap, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.